Well. Green box is gone. And now we can finally have a new era, a new age of prosperity for the Green Box channel, where we make good quality content. And you know what? Enough with the silly cooking videos, the egg cooking, the fruit skewings, the trying squashes or beans or whatever he was doing. So we're gonna have good quality content back again. We, for the first ever Green Box video under the better regime, we're doing a video about a film. So, roll that footage.
In 1955, Henry Hill becomes enamored by the criminal life and mafia presence in his working-class Italian-American neighborhood in Brooklyn. He begins working for local capo regime Paulie Cicero and his associates Jimmy, the Gent, Conway, an Irish-American truck hijacker and gangster, and Tommy DeVito, a fellow juvenile delinquent. Henry begins as a fence for Jimmy, gradually working his way up to more serious crimes. Through the 1960s, the three men get into carjacking, stealing cargo trucks out of John F. Kennedy International Airport, and eventually commit the Air France robbery. They spend most of their nights at the Copacabana nightclub carousing with women. Henry starts dating Karen Friedman, a Jewish woman who is initially troubled by Henry's criminal activities. She is then seduced by Henry's glamorous lifestyle, and marries him despite her parents' disapproval. In 1970, Billy Batts, a made man in a Gambino crime family recently released from prison, insults Tommy at a nightclub owned by Henry. In response, Tommy and Jimmy beat, stab, and fatally shoot Billy. Realizing that the unsanctioned murder of a made man would invite retribution, Jimmy, Henry, and Tommy bury the body in upstate New York. 6 months later, Jimmy learns that the burial site is slated for development, prompting them to exhume and relocate the decomposing corpse. In 1974, Karen harasses Henry's mistress, Janice, and threatens Henry at gunpoint. Henry moves in with Janice, but Paulie insists that he should return to Karen after collecting a debt from a gambler in Tampa with Jimmy. Upon returning, Jimmy and Henry are arrested after being turned in by the gambler's sister, an FBI typist, and receive 10-year prison sentences. To support his family on the outside, Henry has Karen smuggle in drugs from Pittsburgh, which he sells to fellow inmates. 4 years later, Henry is paroled and expands his cocaine business with Jimmy and Tommy against Paulie's orders. Jimmy organizes a crew to raid the Lufthansa vault at JFK Airport, stealing $6 million in cash and jewelry. After some members purchase expensive items against Jimmy's orders and the getaway truck is found by police, he has most of the crew murdered. Only Henry and Tommy are spared, as Henry is making money through his Pittsburgh connection, and Tommy is to become a made man. However, in 1979, Tommy is murdered when he arrives at the ceremony, partly as retribution for murdering Batts. By 1980, Henry develops a cocaine habit and becomes a paranoid wreck. He sets up another drug deal with his Pittsburgh associates, but is arrested by narcotics agents and incarcerated. After bailing him out, Karen explains that she flushed $60,000 worth of cocaine down the toilet to prevent FBI agents from finding it during their raid, leaving them penniless. Feeling betrayed by Henry's drug dealing, Paulie gives him $3,200 and ends their association. Henry meets Jimmy at a diner and is asked to travel on a hit assignment, but the novelty of such a request makes him suspicious. Realizing that Jimmy also plans to have him killed, Henry finally decides to become an informant and enroll, with his family, into the Witness Protection Program. Henry gives sufficient testimony and evidence in court to have Paulie and Jimmy convicted, and moves to a nondescript neighborhood in accordance with the Witness Protection Program. Henry describes his unhappiness in leaving his exciting and turbulent gangster life, now being condemned to live the rest of his life as a boring, average schnook.
I finally found it. Now, let's get going.